Welcome to Strip Cover Lit, where we squeeze the bigger picture out of literature. I'm Adrian Fort, and we are here for another video which will appear in two separate playlists here on the channel. Number one being the poetry discussion playlist, but number two being the Charles Bukowski playlist here on the channel. Two playlists which are always growing. Today's poem in question, The Secret of My Endurance, and it reads as such. I still get letters in the mail, mostly from cracked up men in tiny rooms with factory jobs or no jobs, or who are living with whores or no woman at all. No hope, just booze and madness. Listen, guys, I gotta go. No, I'm kidding. I still get letters in the mail, mostly from cracked up men in tiny rooms with factory jobs or no jobs, who are living with whores or no women at all. No hope, just booze and madness. Most of their letters are on lined paper, or written with an unsharpened pencil or in ink, in tiny handwriting that slants to the left. And the paper is often torn, usually halfway up the middle, and they say they like my stuff. I've written from where it's at, and they recognize that. Truly, I've given them a second chance, some recognition of where they're at. It's true, I was there, worse off than most of them. But I wonder if they realize where their letters arrive. Well, they are dropped into a box behind a 6-foot hedge with a long driveway leading to a 2-car garage, rose garden, fruit trees, animals, a beautiful woman, mortgage about half paid after a year, new car, fireplace, and a green rug 2 inches thick, with a young boy to write my stuff now. I keep him in a 10-foot cage with a typewriter, feed him whiskey and raw whores, belt him pretty good 2 or 3 times a week. I'm 59 years old now, and the critics say my stuff is getting better than ever. Now, there is obviously a dollop of facetiousness placed right on top of this poem. But I think that there is something worth talking about here. Bukowski likens himself to these men who are reading his poetry and emulating his poetry, and says that they write him because he has given them a second chance. And I don't doubt that that's true. I don't doubt that Bukowski did get those letters. It was not until Bukowski was pretty old, actually, that he even started writing poetry, let alone that he became well known for it. So that image at the end, of course, it's a joke. He keeps a young boy in a cage, feeds him whiskey and women. That's a joke. But I think that it's a pretty good metaphor for what actually happens with a lot of successful people. A lot of successful people come from a background that is pretty rough. It's hard. It's hard to motivate yourself to escape the life that you have when the life that you have is very good. So a lot of these people who end up building themselves from nothing are building themselves kind of from something worse than nothing. And they do reach wild levels of success. The best example in today's world, probably, is the richest person alive today, Elon Musk. Elon Musk has talked time and again, has made it no secret that his father was abusive, that he went through abuse at home, that he went through bullying at school. So he was getting it coming and going, whether you like him or not. whether you agree with him or not. The guy's ended up pretty successful because, metaphorically, he has always kept that whipping boy in the cage. And he knows how that feels. He knows what it's like to be in that situation. He knows what it's like to want a better life. And this is a strange poem, isn't it? Because one of the things that I have talked about with Bukowski time and again on the channel is that he does seem to collect in his readership people that had not otherwise been poetry readers, people who had not otherwise had a love of the craft. He collects them. Pardon me, guys. Despite the fact that he does employ a lot of the same ironies that the more advanced poets do, he does it with less. He gives you the present. He just doesn't wrap it. So you don't have to go through all the intricacies that Emily Dickinson makes you go through, William Shakespeare makes you go through, Robert Frost makes you go through, maybe to a little bit of a lesser extent, Robert Frost. But these other poets make you go through all of the unwrapping. Why did you take the time to tie this bow? So I think oftentimes Bukowski is a great entry-level poet. And I don't say that to disparage him. I say that because it's not just play with words, right? It's not like, I don't even know a poet that I would accuse of just being play with words. There's something else there. And if you get there, you bring it home. If you don't get there, it's still interesting. There's still things to look at. In this poem, getting there, bringing it home, is recognizing that the young boy that Bukowski keeps locked inside the cage, that's Bukowski. The young boy that the speaker keeps locked inside the cage is whoever it is that he's speaking to. The boy locked inside the cage, the man in the box. This poem does not work without that. Take that element out. I hope these yak-offs that write me these letters understand that I'm rich now. They write these letters from their crappy apartments and they send them to me. I'm not reading that crap. I might look at it, but I'm too good. The reason this poem works is that Bukowski puts that little bit in at the end, that boy in the cage, that keeps his career going. There's a lot of Bukowski poems that have that, in internet terms, one weird trick. There's a bluebird in my chest, but I'm too tough for him. It's the being too tough for him part that gets an unacclimated reader on board. But it's the end of that poem where Bukowski takes the bird out and says, look, I know you're in there. That makes the poem work, because otherwise we have no real indicator that that poem is meant to be ironic. So this is another one of the poems from Bukowski. Yeah, there's stuff to look at. You look at that kid in the cage. It's interesting. It's funny, haha. But when you really boil it down, when you really dig into the dirt here, it's doing something on a very, very poetic level. That's all I have for this poetry discussion. The secret to my endurance. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other literature lovers. And if you find yourself here by chance but not design, consider hitting the subscribe button in order to stick around for more poetry, short stories, and novels into the future, because as always, I hope to have you back for the next one.